All right, here we are. This is how we ended round 4. Round 5 is going to be super easy because there's really nothing to remember except that you are doing a single stitch into each stitch. That's it. There's no increases on this round. So I moved my stitch marker. I'm going to make my first single stitch, and then I'm going to mark it. Remember, I had 24 at the end of round 4, so I'm going to have 24. I had 24 at the end of round 4. I'm going to have 24 at the end of round 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So there's my round 5. Now you can see here that this is starting to kind of make a little bowl shape. See, it's kind of making a bowl. This right now, the inside of the bowl is actually the right side of the piece. This outside of the bowl is the wrong side of the piece. So if you want to start now kind of training your piece to work in the right direction, all you're going to do is kind of flip your bowl so that now this side is the right side and this side is the wrong side. And you know this is the wrong side because our little tail that we started with should be inside the bowl. So now when I keep going, I'm just going to keep kind of molding the piece to make sure that the tail of that I started with is in the bottom of the bowl. Round 6, 7, 8, and 9 is all exactly the same thing. So you will just make 1 stitch into each stitch around and make sure that you count 6, 7, 8, 9, 4 more rounds, and then we will talk about how to go on from there. All right, here we are at the end of round 9. So you can see how much longer the piece is now that we've added those extra rows. Now we're gonna go ahead and put the eyes on. So you have to do this before you finish the animal because of the kind of eyes that we're using. So these are called safety eyes. And they have the eyepiece and then they have a back, kind of like an earring back. The thing with these is that once you snap them together, you cannot pull them apart again. So you really want to be sure that when you position them, you're positioning them correctly and you are putting them somewhere that you want them to stay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hook out and I'm going to look at the top of my piece here. I'm going to grab my 2 eyes, and the animals look a little bit cuter when the eyes are a little bit further apart. So I'm going to kind of count 3 of these little ridges. These are our rounds. I'm going to count out 3, and then I'm going to position my eyes in those spots, kind of right across the middle. I'm not going to worry about the mouth and nose right now. We're going to get to that at the end, but I kind of like the position of these eyes here. They look cute and friendly. So I'm going to grab my backing and I'm going to turn my piece inside out, and I'm going to grab my back and I'm going to push it down until it clicks onto the first ridge of the eye. I'm going to grab my other backing, find my other eye, turn it inside out. And again, and when I do this, cup part of it is going towards the eye. Push that on, I hear the click. Now my eyes are secure and I'm ready to continue crocheting. All right, here we are at the end of round 9. We've got our eyes on, our pieces positioned the right side out. I know that because my tail is on the inside and I can see where I put my eyes. So now we're going to start to slowly close up the ball. So here we started and it got rounder. Now we're going to make it rounder on the other side. And the way that we're going to do that is by decreasing the stitches as opposed to increasing the stitches. So for this round, we are going to make 2 single crochet stitches, and then I'm going to show you how to decrease. So to start, I move my stitch marker, make my first single, put in my stitch marker, because I, again, don't want to lose all of the hard work that I've done up until this point. Then I make another single, And now I'm going to make a decrease. So to decrease, when we increased, we made 2 stitches from 1. When we decrease, we're taking 2 stitches and we're making them 1 stitch. So I'm going to put my hook into my first stitch just like normal. I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop, but instead of completing the stitch, now I'm going to go into the next stitch. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull up a loop. So now I have 3 loops on my hook, which I've never had before in this piece. But all I'm going to do to decrease is I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through all 3 loops. Now I have 1 stitch, you can see it, where there were 2. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do 2 singles. Here's 1. Here's my second single. Now I'm going to decrease. So I put my hook into that first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. I don't complete the stitch. I go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop again. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. I yarn over and I pull through all 3 loops. Here we go again. Do a single, then another single, decrease. Hook goes into the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. Hook goes into the second stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. And I'm just going to continue that all the way until I get back to my stitch marker. Okay, so now if I've done this correctly, I should have 18 stitches. So I went from 24 to 18. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And now I'm ready to go on to my next round. All right, here we go. Now we're on to round 11. So we had 18 stitches and now we are going to go down to 12 stitches. So this time, instead of doing 2 stitches and then a decrease, we're going to do 1 single and then a decrease. So I make my first stitch. I'm going to put my stitch marker in, of course. Then I'm going to make my decrease. So I go into my first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, into my next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then I pull through all 3 loops. I'm going to do that all the way around. Okay, so now if I've done this correctly, I should have 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, before I go on to my next round, I'm going to stuff it. So I'm going to show you that in the next video. All right, so here we go. I'm going to stuff this. So when the stuffing comes out of the bag, it's kind of all clumped together. So you're not gonna want to take the whole thing out of the bag and shove it into your piece, because then it will be clumpy and weird. So what you're gonna want to do is kind of break pieces off of your stuffing, and then imagine it was a fluffy cloud. You want to make it a fluffier cloud. So as you kind of pull it apart and put it back together, it kind of takes on a little bit less shape actually and gets fluffier. And then you can take smaller bits of it and put that into the piece and then kind of just push it down there. You want to keep doing that until the piece is pretty full. And this also will help you round out the face a little bit more. If it's pointy at all, this is a good time to kind of stuff more at the face of it. Okay, so you can see I started with a lot of stuffing and I'm using a lot of stuffing to get in there. And I'm kind of checking on it every so often just to kind of see. This is getting pretty full. I want a little bit more though. Okay. And so you will be able to stuff a little bit more after the next round, but you want it to be pretty full, maybe like popping out a little bit at the top, but not too much because then it'll make it hard to continue crocheting to close it. But I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna stop there, and then I will show you how to finish the last round and close up your piece. All right, so we are stuffed and ready to close up here. So the last round, we are just gonna make decrease stitches all around. There's gonna be 6 of them. So let's get started. So I'm not even making a single here. I'm going right to my first decrease. Okay, I'm gonna mark that because again, don't want to lose my work. And you can see I am, as I go, like making sure my stuffing is out of the way. So if you felt like you didn't have enough stuffing, it's okay because it's actually easier to close up the piece if the stuffing is already in. Okay, so finished my last round. I've got 6 stitches. This one wants to hide a little bit, but it's there. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now I'm done. I'm gonna take my stitch marker out completely, put it to the side. I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm gonna actually cut my yarn like towards the ball of yarn that I have left. I'm gonna leave, I'd say maybe like 6 to 12, 8 to 12 inches-ish, and I'm actually gonna cut it. When I pull my hook out, my yarn is gonna travel through my stitch, and that's what I want. So you can see here, I'm gonna pull this working yarn all the way through my stitch. So now it's secure, it's not going anywhere. You're gonna grab your needle, and we're gonna use a trick to thread it. You can get a little piece of paper, Post-its work great. And you're just gonna snip off like a little tabby. That's about all you need of paper. And this is gonna help us thread our needle. It's the best trick ever. So you're gonna take your little tab of paper and you're gonna fold it around that yarn. Now, instead of trying to shove the yarn into the needle, I'm just gonna take that folded piece of paper and I'm gonna put that into the needle, and then I can grab it and pull through, and now my needle is threaded, and that is the best. All right, now to close up, you see we still have this space here, so we need to close this. We are going to take our needle and we're gonna go underneath each of our stitches. So remember, we had these V's, you've been following them the whole time. We're going to start kind of the way that we would continue crocheting. You're gonna put your needle into the stitch from the outside to the inside, and you're gonna do that all the way around 6 times. So here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now the fun part, if you pull on that yarn, you can see that hole closes right up. There you go. So now what I like to do, I don't want to tie any knots in this because then you're going to feel knots. I like to kind of weave my needle just into whatever loops I can still see. This is just going to secure it a little bit more. And then I'm going to take my needle and I'm just going to shove it right into my piece until it pops out somewhere on the other side. Then I'm going to pull that all the way through. Because now the end of my working yarn here has gotten kind of stuck in the stuffing, which is what we want. I'm gonna take my scissors and cut that, and then kind of use my finger to shove that in there. And there is your finished